meditation I've been playing with. So the prompt is very easy. What does that feel like? What does that feel like to be sitting here watching this video? What does that feel like to be the one recording the video, receiving the video? Maybe there's a curiosity. What is he gonna say next? What does that feel like? Maybe there's something more contracted. Maybe there's an anxiousness. There's an anxiety to know. There's a contracted sense of, I need to get something from this video. This better be good. What does that feel like? Maybe there's, and this comes in layers, right? Maybe there's a part opposing that part. Hey, we're spiritual, we shouldn't feel anxious. Or like, hey, relax, relax, let's not be anxious. That doesn't feel good. So what does that feel like to feel that manager, that going on? And so and goes. And just for context, how we might conceptualize this as a skillful means of allowing things to reverberate through us more easily is to imagine everything as a vibration. So there are many ways of looking at the same thing, right? Like we can be looking at literally the same thing from the different vantage points. We can conceptualize them in different ways. We can think about pain, we can think about thoughts, we can see parts, we can see sweet beings, we can see stagnant energies, we can feel waves of physical sensation, we can feel emotional waves that and we're looking at the same thing, right? And we can dress it in words in such a plethora of different ways. And so now I just want to invite us to see it as purely waves of energy, waves of vibration. Let's just call it vibrations. And now imagine yourself as the space which knows the vibration. And in truth, there's a collapse. We can begin to touch that as you imagine yourself to be the space in which the vibration is happening, is it really the space that knows the vibration, or is the vibration knowing itself? But for the sake of this meditation, let's start as that vast open space. And then I might become aware of something that pulls, that feels contracted, that feels unpleasant, this uncomfortable. And just noticing that as a subtle vibration in the space that I am. And noticing any thoughts, resistance, physical sensations also as vibrations in the field. And as I do that, I recognize that what I'm bracing against is essentially nothing else but the reverberations of vibrations in me. There's something that turns away from something that is not much different than like a sound, right? Like a sound wave. And there's something that doesn't quite like the pitch. So we do this. Ugh. And path to liberation turns out to be not much more complicated than allowing the sound to just be and to listen. And again, here, we can invite that collapse of that duality. There's nobody to listen. There's just that pitch vibrating, listening to itself, knowing itself, right? But can we allow that? Can we not push at it? Can we just allow that vibration? It is all there is, right? Like nobody has ever died from feeling. On the contrary, repressing those vibrations may very well result and manifest as or in ailments and dis-ease, because we're not at ease. We're not at ease allowing the vibrations to just be, to reverberate. And when they can't, when they don't touch resistance, when they're not being contained or resisted or pushed away or repressed, surprise, surprise, they liberate, they self-liberate. They only ring for that long before they shift, they transform, they transform into something else. That's the whole impermanence aspect, right? That nothing is permanent. Everything actually in truth is just a vibration. It's just a play of light. And we're essentially resisting. we're assisting light or sound or whatever, however you want to conceptualize that to help yourself. And that's my invitation. And it's really helped me to just imagine myself as that spacious space. Feel free to do this after this video or even pause now. Imagine yourself being that space. Invite whatever contraction you are experiencing in your field and just see how in reality you are resisting nothing more. No matter how uncomfortable, you're resisting a vibration of grief, a vibration of pain, a vibration of uncertainty. And so now we're going to make full circle into that prompt from the beginning. And as you notice that pain, ask yourself, what is that like to be experiencing the vibration of pain? What is that vibration like? What is the vibration of aloneness? What does that feel like to feel alone? And those of you familiar with classical IFS notice that, well, that's precisely the way that we're taught to work with our parts, right? To become curious, not judgmental, not pushing, not wishing them away, but just like, wow, look at that lonely part that feels alone, that has a deep longing for friendship, for partnership, for community. And what does that lack of that feel like? Without stepping into an achiever, into a parenting part, into a good doer, bodhisattva of trying to rescue that part. Let's again just see it as vibration. That's where it helps. Because if we see that sad part, maybe there's something in us that kind of wants to come closer and hold it and rescue it. And we're not making that part bad either. But coming back to vibration, what is it like to experience purely a vibration of feeling loneliness? What is that vibration like? It's like our whole existence is made out of those vibrations. Can we get curious about them? What does the vibration of excitement feel like? What does the vibration of feeling tired and exhausted feel like? What is the vibration of resisting that, my day didn't go as planned? It shouldn't be like this. What is the vibration of the should? And then, hey, I had an amazing day. What is the vibration of that love and connectedness with others and flow? What does that appear like? And as we play with this more and more, we can begin to notice how, and this is really cool, you guys, right? Because we can begin to notice how we are that space and everything is vibration, and the preference for one vibration over another, for pleasure over pain, let's say, is but another vibration, right? There's no objective truth to that preference. It arises as yet another vibration in the same field. So then we can apply the prompt again. And what is that like? What is it like to be experiencing the vibration of preference right now, which is the root of that suffering? What is it like to suffer right now because I have a preference for what should have been and it was not? And then, we're starting slowly to gain a little bit of distance to everything that's appearing, right? And in that space, we can begin to find a little bit of freedom. That actually, whether I am feeling bliss or I am feeling pain, whether I'm excited or exhausted, it is essentially just vibrations appearing in my field, and I am that which knows them. And I'm trying to be careful with words because, in truth, we don't want to set up that duality that there's the vibration, there's the knower of it. The vibration actually knows itself. And you can find that, right? You can find that experientially if you just really tune in and focus on that vibration. The subtle sense of a subject and object can fall away, right? And hence we arrive at non-duality. There's just this. There's just in that moment there's just that vibration of loneliness vibrating in us. But the cool thing, I really don't want us to miss this because it's like the analogy of the movie and the screen. We begin to recognize more and more stuff to just be of the movie that is playing out on the screen, which we truly are. And just like you know, that analogy is used, it's a helpful device for this understanding because we can easily grok that the TV does not mind what's playing, whether you're playing a horror movie or a comedy, a rom-com, you know, or even if it's just static, the TV has no need to orient to it, has no need to discern and to judge, to have a preference. In fact, it cannot have a preference because the preference would be something arising on the screen as well. So we begin to notice how all of our preferences, all of our managing, all of the events, everything that's moving through us is precisely that. It's just a movie on the screen. And we begin to know ourselves and to shift that identity from being identified with the character in the movie who suffers, right? Because like you're watching a movie and a tragedy happens, right? That there's a tragic accident, somebody dies, and there's that oof, there's real sense of pain, and we're not bypassing that. We're not saying, oh, that's illusory, you know, that's an illusion, it's not real, I'm not going to feel that. No, we're intimate with it because the TV is at 0 point distance with the movie. The movie, you could say the movie is the screen, right? In that moment the screen becomes the movie. You can't separate the movie away from the screen. So we're not creating separation and saying, oh, I don't want to, I'm not going to feel that, that's not real, that's just a movie. The screen is at 0 point distance away from the movie. And yet, if it knows itself to be the screen and the identification from the movie, the character inside the movie shifts back to being the screen, then there is no preference, there is no suffering because there's no resistance. The movie can is then free to unfold in, you know, the most exciting, beautiful, intelligent, divine way without the interference of that which mistakes itself to be the characters in the movie, right? And we can then begin to rest as the screen. There's a intuition, there's a knowing, there's a resting as that groundless ground of being, knowing that whatever is appearing is not me, it's just moving through. And with that, the seeming movie characters of that have been tasked and burdened with managing and orienting and making sure everything is okay suddenly are, you know, unburdened and unblended from. It's like they reclaim their freedom in loosening that identification with them, that actually they never had to manage anything. It was just all that movie unfolding already spontaneously by itself. And we don't blend with the character. So the character becomes free to be the character. And we, again, there's no separation. We and the character are the same. And yet, right, this is paradoxical. It's fine. Don't think too hard. Just see if you can follow where I'm pointing to. And as we rest at the screen, we too can relax. And it's like that relaxation permeates the movie somehow. And the character in the movie is free to embody himself more fully, to experience greater flow, experience greater peace. It's like the nature of the screen starts to permeate the movie more and more. And we truly, on a much deeper level, know ourselves that we are the screen. We've never left home. We've always been safe. We're always here, no matter what configuration of energy, pixels, whatever images flicker on the TV is completely undisturbed. Like that analogy of the ocean and the waves, right? The ocean always is, no matter if it's stormy or calm, the ocean is the ocean. It does not mind. Just like the sky and the clouds don't have a notion of good and bad weather. To them, it is just the unfolding of what is. It is to us, humans, you know, we make those concepts that are part of the movie, right? They're part of the dream, that we have a preference for a sunny day. Or maybe we like the rain, right? So again, there's no objective truth. Just like some people enjoy pain. So all of that is just part of the content. And it is up to us to recede into that deeper knowing of what we really are. Let me know how that lands. Leave a comment, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.